You didn't click this by accident. Something in you is tired of rehearsing the same promises, tired of waking up with fire and falling asleep with regret. You felt that quiet shame after another day where distractions won, where comfort stole hours, where the version of you that could rise stayed silent. Stoicism doesn't whisper nice things to make you feel better. It looks you in the eye and asks if you're done betraying your own potential. This is not another speech wrapped in sugar. This is about the single habit that draws a brutal line between the strong and the average. Not a trend, not a shortcut. A daily decision that shapes your nervous system, your patience, your hunger, and your identity. We're going to walk through the disciplines the Stoics guarded in silence, the ones that build power when nobody is clapping. Stay until the end, because the final lesson is not about doing more. It's about becoming someone different. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." If you're enjoying the videos on this channel, hit like, leave a comment as we go, and subscribe to join a community of warriors seeking real growth. Number 1. Voluntary hardship. You wake up and the bed feels heavier than your future dreams. Comfort whispers that you can start tomorrow, just this once, just this morning. This is where the strong and the average split without ceremony or noise. You either choose resistance on purpose, or life assigns it to you without asking. Stoicism begins the moment you stop asking what feels good and start asking what forges you. You feel it in the gym when your muscles beg for mercy and your mind looks for exits. You feel it at work when boredom tests your patience and your phone offers escape. Voluntary hardship means you step into friction before decay steps into you. The Stoic does not wait to be cornered by pain to learn how to stand. You train your nervous system to obey command instead of craving. There is a reason discomfort reshapes you faster than pleasure ever will. Smooth days do not carve character, they soften it without warning. Seneca warned that a man is refined by fire and not flattered into strength, and the truth still burns. Every cold morning you rise early, and every extra rep you choose rewires your threshold. The work you hate now becomes the ground you stand on later. You see it when others quit at the first sign of pressure and call it self-care. You see it when relationships crack because someone could not endure one hard conversation. The Stoic path asks if you can stay when your ego wants to flee. Voluntary struggle builds patience that no book can teach and no speech can install. You become familiar with the sensation of resistance and it stops scaring you. The average life is padded with small comforts that slowly suffocate hunger. The strong life is sharpened by chosen difficulty that keeps the senses awake. While others scroll for relief, you sit with the weight and let it shape you. While others look for shortcuts, you walk the long way until your legs stop complaining. This is not cruelty to self, it is loyalty to your highest form. There will be days when no one sees what you endure and no one needs to. The body will bargain, the mind will invent stories, and the world will offer permission to quit. You answer with action instead of debate, and the Stoic in you grows quieter and stronger. Each chosen hardship thickens the line between who you were and who you are becoming. Tonight, choose one small discomfort on purpose, and let that be the proof you are done waiting. Number 2. Discipline over mood. Some mornings you wake up feeling like a weapon, and some mornings you feel like dust. The average worships those moods as if they were commands from the gods. You have postponed your power many times because you did not feel ready. Stoicism steps in and breaks that fragile contract with emotion. You move not because it feels good, but because it is who you decided to be. Motivation is a liar that visits when it is convenient and disappears when it is needed. Discipline is the friend that shows up whether you are inspired or empty. The Stoic does not ask the heart for permission to act. You act tired, you act uncertain, you act even when your chest feels heavy. This is how execution replaces hesitation as your default state. Epictetus taught that you must first decide who you want to be and then do what that man must do. That sentence alone exposes how often you wait to feel powerful before behaving with power. Every delayed workout, avoided task, and half-kept promise trains your weakness. Every executed duty while you feel low trains a colder and steadier fire. You are not broken when you feel nothing. You are being tested. You see mood rule lives on social media where energy is borrowed and discipline is absent. You see it in relationships where feelings become excuses for silence, anger, or withdrawal. The Stoic learns to separate the weather from the road. You let storms pass through without letting them steer. Emotional obedience is traded for inner command, one decision at a time. There is a secret confidence that grows when you stop negotiating with yourself. It is quiet, and it does not need to announce itself to anyone. You begin to trust your word again because your actions start to match it. Fatigue still shows up, doubt still knocks, and fear still whispers. But none of them hold veto power anymore. The world does not need your mood. It answers only to your consistency. Strength is built on the days you would rather disappear than perform. When you move without emotional permission, you step into a higher rank of freedom. The Stoic in you learns that discipline is not punishment. It is clarity in motion. Tomorrow act before you feel ready, and let action remind you who is in charge. Number 3, invisible effort. You don't become different when the lights are on. You become different when no one is watching. The strong version of you is built in quiet rooms and forgotten hours. This is where the real work hides, far from praise and performance. Stoicism respects the labor that leaves no witnesses. What you do in isolation becomes the voice that speaks in pressure. You scroll and see applause for victories, but you never see the repetitions that made them possible. The average only moves when eyes are on them and approval is guaranteed. You learn to move when the room is empty and the reward is invisible. The Stoic path teaches you to value progress over recognition. Silence becomes the forge where your identity is reshaped. There will be long stretches where it feels like nothing is happening. Effort goes out and no feedback comes back to confirm your growth. This is where most people quit because they mistake quiet for failure. Marcus Aurelius wrote that waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. Invisible effort is where you stop discussing strength and start living it. You notice the change when your reflexes shift without announcement. You respond instead of react, endure instead of escape, focus instead of drift. No one claps for that, and no one needs to. The world never sees the private negotiations you win with yourself. But you feel the difference when pressure hits and you do not break. Social media trains you to perform instead of prepare. You see people chase visibility while neglecting the unseen muscles that actually carry them. The Stoic learns to invert that addiction and build depth instead of display. You stack quiet victories like stones in a wall. One day the wall stands, and the world finally understands what you were doing all along. If no one ever praised what you are about to do next, would you still do it? That question exposes the true engine behind your effort. Invisible work either humbles you or abandons you. The strong keep working even when the mirror is the only witness. Tonight, do something difficult and tell no one. Number 4, repetition without drama. There is nothing cinematic about becoming dangerous in your discipline. No music swells when you show up on an ordinary day. No one narrates the moment you repeat the same simple action yet again. The Stoic does not wait for excitement to authorize effort. You build strength in the unglamorous rhythm of return. You want transformation to feel electric and symbolic. You want the shift to arrive with signs and emotional fireworks. But real progress arrives quietly and almost boring in its consistency. The average chases novelty and loses momentum the moment the thrill fades. You learn to respect the slow grind that does not entertain but endures. Epictetus warned that no great thing is created suddenly, yet the mind still hunts shortcuts and milestones that can be posted and celebrated. Stoicism breaks that hunger by teaching reverence for repetition itself. Each return to the same task deepens your command over it. You stop needing emotional reward to stay loyal to the process. You see it in training when the early burst fades and the real work begins. You see it in relationships when effort turns into routine instead of pursuit. You see it in ambition when progress slows and doubt starts whispering that you should pivot. The Stoic does not pivot from boredom, you refine your posture within it. The average seeks stimulation to feel alive. The strong seek rhythm to become lethal in their steadiness. You return not because it feels new, but because it feels necessary. Over time, the chaos around you begins to die from lack of permission. Consistency becomes your signature long before success becomes your evidence. If you can return tomorrow without needing to feel inspired, you are no longer dependent on mood. Repetition without drama is the quiet skill that starves chaos and feeds mastery. The strongest habits grow without spectacle or ceremony. What you repeat without applause will eventually outrun what others announce with noise. Tomorrow, return again, and let that be your rebellion. Number 5. Delayed gratification. You live in a world that sells now as if later does not exist. Every scroll promises relief. Every craving demands immediate attention. The average obeys that signal without hesitation and calls it freedom. Stoicism teaches you to pause where others consume. Power grows in the space between desire and decision. Each time you choose comfort over patience, you spend tomorrow to buy a softer today. Each time you wait when your nerves want release, you store a deeper kind of strength. The Stoic is not numb to pleasure. You simply refuse to be owned by it. You learn to sit with hunger without naming its suffering. That is how self-command replaces impulse as your compass. You feel this battle in food, in money, in lust, in ambition, in the endless appetite for stimulation. The average reaches for what is available, while the strong prepare for what is coming. You delay the reward not because you hate yourself, but because you respect your future. Epictetus warned that freedom is secured not by indulging desires, but by removing them. Each delayed urge trains the muscle of restraint. There will be moments when your choice makes no sense to those around you. You will look strange for not joining the rush to spend, to speak, to react, to devour the moment. But Stoicism never promised that discipline would be socially elegant. You are not trying to fit into the noise. You are carving leverage over time. The quiet patience you practice now accumulates into authority later. Delayed gratification reshapes how you experience effort and reward. You begin to feel pride in waiting instead of shame in wanting. The timeline of your life stretches past the next dopamine hit and into something longer and steadier. You stop living like a visitor and start behaving like a builder. What you resist today will feed you when urgency returns. If every reward vanished for the next 30 days, would your discipline still stand? That question exposes whether you serve pleasure or purpose. The strong eat last, wait longer, and build deeper. Delayed gratification is not denial, it is direction. Tonight choose one urge to resist, and let that be your quiet declaration of control. Number 6. Emotional self-command. There is a moment between stimulus and reaction where your entire life is decided. Most people never learn to inhabit that space. Anger pulls the trigger, fear slams the brakes, pride blinds the next move. Stoicism enters that gap and teaches you how to stand instead of collapse. You either command your emotions or become their employee. You feel how fast emotion hijacks your hands and your mouth. One text, one look, one insult, one sudden loss of control. The average reacts and then builds excuses around the damage. You learn to pause, breathe, and measure before you move. This is not suppression, it is sovereignty. Seneca said that the greatest remedy for anger is delay. In that delay, you reclaim your nervous system from reflex and impulse. You let the heat rise without letting it steer. Stoicism trains you to watch your inner weather without becoming the storm. Calm becomes an active choice instead of a fragile mood. You apply this power in conflict, in negotiation, in fatigue, in temptation, in moments where your pride wants to dominate. The Stoic responds rather than erupts. You discover that silence often carries more authority than volume. When others explode, you remain deliberate. That contrast alone shifts the entire balance in your favor. Emotional self-command changes how you walk through pressure. You stop leaking power through impulsive speech and reactive decisions. The chaos around you does not disappear, but it loses permission to rule you. People feel your steadiness long before they understand it. Control without noise becomes your signature. The next time your pulse rises and your thoughts demand action, pause long enough to prove who is in charge. You do not need to destroy emotion, only to dethrone it. Inner kingship begins when reaction ends. The strongest man in the room is often the quietest. Tonight, master one reaction and let that be your first crown. Number 7. Daily self-examination. You end the day replaying what others did to you, what they failed to give, what they took. The average mind builds a courtroom where everyone else is always on trial. Stoicism flips the direction of judgment back where it belongs. You turn the light inward instead of outward. Growth begins the moment you stop narrating their errors and start auditing your own. Most people fear the quiet moment before sleep because truth gets louder there. You scroll to escape it, drink to blur it, talk to avoid it. The Stoic sits with it and listens without flinching. You review what you promised and what you delivered. Self-respect begins to grow when excuses start to starve. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself to examine his thoughts daily and to correct them without mercy. That habit turns every day into a laboratory of refinement. You stop waiting for years to change what can be corrected tonight. Each honest review becomes a sharpened blade against self-deception. This is how illusion slowly loses its grip. You see clearly where jealousy bent your words and where fear softened your action. You catch the moments where pride spoke instead of wisdom. The average defends these lapses and calls them personality. The Stoic names the failure without drama and adjusts at once. There is no shame in the inventory, only data. Daily examination transforms mistakes into instruction instead of identity. You stop carrying guilt as a permanent weight and start carrying correction as a tool. Reflection without action decays into rumination, but reflection with action becomes momentum. Progress accelerates when denial collapses. The mirror becomes your ally instead of your enemy. If you do not judge yourself with discipline, life will judge you with consequences. Tonight, before sleep, ask where you fell short and where you stood firm. Do not soften the truth and do not crush yourself with it. Extract the lesson and release the rest. Tomorrow walk differently because you dared to look tonight. Number 8. Identity before outcome. You have waited for proof before granting yourself permission to act with strength. You wanted confidence to arrive after victory and clarity to come after success. The average lives trapped in that loop of evidence before embodiment. Stoicism teaches a reversal that breaks the chain. You become the man before the world agrees. Most people dress their identity in results that can be taken at any moment. Money rises and falls. Relationships shift. Applause fades without warning. You are steady only when your character does not depend on outcomes. The Stoic builds selfhood that does not petition the future for validation. You act from principle, not from prediction. Epictetus taught that first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. That is identity forged ahead of evidence. You train like the disciplined man before anyone calls you one. You speak with restraint before the world credits your wisdom. Becoming precedes being recognized. You feel the tension when the old you demands proof before effort. The new you moves from alignment even when the road looks empty. While others hesitate until certainty arrives, you advance through uncertainty. The Stoic does not borrow courage from outcomes. You generate it from commitment to who you are becoming. Identity before outcome also frees you from desperation. You no longer chase validation like oxygen. You stop bending yourself into shapes that promise faster approval. When failure comes, it informs you instead of defining you. When success comes, it confirms what was already planted. If all outcomes were delayed for a year, would you still live as the man you claim to be becoming? That question reveals whether your identity is real or conditional. The strong live as the person before the proof arrives. This is how evolution locks in before the world reacts. Tonight, choose one action that reflects your future self and execute it without witnesses. You have seen the line now, not drawn by talent but by habit, not by luck but by choice. The question is no longer what the strong do, it is what you will do when comfort and conscience collide. Which of these disciplines will you carry into tomorrow when no one is watching? And which excuse will you finally let die? Ask yourself where you have been waiting for mood instead of moving with command. Ask where you have been spending your future for a softer present. Ask where your identity still depends on applause instead of principle. Every honest answer is a door back to your own authority. If this message stirred something real in you, support the path by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. And if you stayed to the end and felt the weight of it, write the word sovereignty in the comments. That one word tells me you are not chasing motivation, you are choosing command. Now click the video appearing on your screen and keep building your inner power, stillness, and mental resilience.